dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Taylor Upchurch. Today is Wednesday, March 27th. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. Brandon?
Well, so far a little bit chilly, Taylor, but as we head deeper into the day, things are going to improve quite nicely. This morning, defrost those cars and warm them up. Let's take a look at McKee this morning. As we take a look out the door there, we're looking at a nice start to the day, quiet start to the day. It is chilly, though. Live pinpoint Doppler radar, clean sweeps across the region. That's going to be the trend for the next couple of days, so don't get used to seeing anything on there until we get maybe into late Friday and into the weekend. Temperatures this morning, 22 in Monticello to 35 in Jackson this morning. Those ridges a little warmer than those valleys because of the warm air rising. It's about 10 degrees colder than it was this time yesterday morning in Harlan, 13 in Middlesboro, but 4 degrees warmer in Jackson and up toward Moorhead, 2 degrees warmer. The app forecast for today, you can download that in either app store. Sunshine and clear skies getting up into the 60s a little bit later on.
It's in our mailroom area. They did not see a substance, as far as a powder or anything like that, but it is in that area, and that area is secured right now, and the air handlers have all been turned off.
That was the 911 operators received when 3 people at Manchester's federal prison were sent to the hospital. It happened in the mailroom yesterday at the prison, and the 3 started showing a handful of symptoms: nausea, increased heart rate and blood pressure, dizziness and numbness in the lips and tongue. Hazmat crews in the military were called in. Details are still somewhat limited, but WYMT's Connor James is breaking down what we know about the unusual incident.
It's this location where things quickly escalated Tuesday.
They had 3 of their guards who got symptomatic after they thought they might have been exposed to something. We didn't know what.
Doug Baker is the chief of the special response team for the Somerset area.
In a situation like this, it just takes a long time to do the testing that we need to do to say that, okay, everybody is okay to go back in.
That response team includes the hazmat crew that responded to the prison.
At the same time, our people have to be protected.
Crews were there until the early morning hours. At one point, they even needed help from the military's 41st Civil Support Team out of Louisville. In a statement from the U.S. Department of Justice, we were told that the hazmat team has, quote, declared the area safe with no decontamination required. The institution has returned to normal operations, end quote. We're here in front of the Manchester jail where it all happened. As you can see, this is government property. We're not allowed to get any closer than this. But in talking with people who live out near this prison, they tell me they're not too scared. Bobby Jones has lived about 1 minute away from the prison for nearly 2 decades.
I've been here 17 years.
He's not worried.
We feel pretty safe.
But he was concerned for the 3 people in the mailroom who were exposed.
Hopefully they won't have no after effects from the chemical or whatever they've gotten in,
Thankfully.
Long story short, it was a long night. Everything ended well. Everybody's home safe.
In Clay County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
We have the full release from the U.S. Department of Justice on our website, WYMT.com. Crews say the area is safe and there's no risk at this time. And a reward is now being offered for information leading to the arrest of a man police say killed a woman more than 2 years ago. Here's who they want to find. His name is Eric Monroe Jones. Police say he killed his ex-wife, Jania Jefferson, in November 2016 in Wise County, Virginia. The reward stands at $10,000. Once arrested, he faces murder and other charges. And a high school teacher at Russell High School in Ashland faces charges related to child pornography. Sam Beeson taught math there. Police charged him with 5 counts of possession or viewing of matter portraying of sexual performance by a minor. The school system superintendent told us he is no longer employed by them. And laws are already in place requiring rear guards on tractor trailers. That's something that prevents cars from crashing under the truck, which could cause serious injury or even decapitation. But this is what it looks like when a car crashes into the side of a tractor trailer. Families of victims who have died in crashes like this are pushing lawmakers nationally to create new requirements. Local enforcement officers say they see too many fatal crashes in our area involving tractor trailers. They say far many of them are preventable.
Distracted driver, driver inattention, fatigue driving, all those are factors that causes, those type of crashes. And like I said, it's very important that you wear your seatbelt.
Close to 200 people die each year in crashes like this. Truck drivers say new regulations would not change much for them unless the safety guards added a lot of weight to their trucks. In that case, they say their shipping costs would increase. And a federal ban on bump stocks began yesterday. The president's order now a reality, and owners from coast to coast turning them in. Bump stocks are meant to replace the standard stock and grip of a semi-automatic rifle. They attach to a rifle's receiver or frame, allowing a weapon to fire hundreds of rounds per minute.
Immediately after they stated in December that they were going to ban bump stocks, we sold out of all of our bump stocks within the weekend.
A number of groups have challenged the ban in court, but for now, it is in effect. And special counsel Robert Mueller's nearly 2-year investigation into whether the Trump administration colluded with the Russians during the 2016 elections is complete. On Sunday, Attorney General William Barr summed up the findings in a 4-page statement saying there's no evidence that Trump nor any members of his campaign conspired to influence the 2016 presidential election. On Tuesday, both of Kentucky's senators weighed in on the investigation.
I think we spent $30 million, and what we discovered is what we knew in the beginning. In the beginning, we knew that the Russians tried to interfere with our election. Absolutely, that's a big deal, and we should try to protect our elections. But I think from the very beginning, most of us knew that the Trump campaign wasn't involved. The president said he wasn't involved. And really, the evidence that got this started was from opposition research paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign, the Democrat Party.
I think the Attorney General is in the process of looking at how much to release. He's already indicated he wants as much as possible to be released. But at some point here, we may have to make a decision whether we think it's a good idea to throw innocent people who have not been charged under the bus and to throw open classified information that may compromise other efforts that we're involved in.
Republicans, along with the Trump administration, say the report lifts the cloud of suspicion over the presidency, allowing the country to move forward. Democrats and some Republicans are demanding the full report be released for their review. And the House voted and failed to overturn President Trump's veto of a resolution to block the national emergency he declared for his wall along the southern border. The Department of Defense revealed this week it's shifting $1 billion to build 57 miles of fencing at the border in Yuma, Arizona, and El Paso, Texas. The acting defense secretary says the funds were freed up after the Army fell short of recruiting goals.
Military construction on the border will not come at the expense of our people, our readiness, or our modernization.
The White House still faces legal challenges to the emergency declaration, which must be resolved in the courts. And tensions continue between the Israeli forces and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli Defense Forces IDF launched strikes on the Strip Monday evening, hours after a rocket fired from the coastal strip hit a home in central Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces also closed 2 crossings into Gaza. During the tensions, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cut short his visit to Washington during his return home. And families of the USS Cole attack could get nothing after the Supreme Court ruled against their civil lawsuit. The October 2000 bombing killed 17 sailors and injured 42 others. A boat exploded next to the USS Cole in port of Aden in Yemen. Survivors and victims' families sued Sudan in 2010, saying Sudan provided material support to al-Qaeda, which is allegedly responsible for the attack. But in an 8-1 ruling, the Supreme Court said the lawsuit wasn't filed through the proper channels. And the FAA is investigating an emergency landing involving a Boeing 737 MAX 8 airplane Tuesday afternoon in Florida. Southwest Airlines says 2 pilots aboard Flight 8701 reported, quote, a performance issue with one of the engines shortly after takeoff. No passengers were on board at the time. The airline says the plane was heading from Orlando International Airport to Victorville, California for short-term shortage. The crew was able to safely land back at the Orlando airport. And now let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your weather.
Well, the forecast this morning, a little bit chilly, but otherwise it's going to be a fairly nice day. We take a look at UVA-wise this morning. You can see the stars there in the sky, no cloud cover up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain on US 119. Everything looking pretty good there as well. You can see the moon climbing, and then it will start to set here pretty soon. If it hasn't already, temperatures from 22 to 35, still dropping in most areas, but the ridges a little bit warmer than those valleys this morning. Day planner for you today will still be in the 30s by about 9 o'clock, but we'll slowly climb, getting into the afternoon hours, getting about 65 degrees. But look at that sunshine. It's going to be a fairly nice day overall, so get out there and enjoy it. Taylor?
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for joining us for Mountain News this morning. A guest from the Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter will join us later this morning with a pet available for you to take home.